What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another Cryptid Saturday, and in today's Cryptid Saturday, we're going over the cryptids of Virginia. So real quick guys, like I always like to say, I don't own the rights to this article, I just use it to push along the information. The link to the article will be down below. Please go over there and show them some love. The first cryptid on this list is not your typical West Virginia cryptid. His story is not that of an alleged sighting turned folk legend like most of the others, but instead that of a trashy tabloid headline. On June 23rd, 1992, the supermarket tabloid Weekly World News ran the first story on the cryptid Bat Boy. On the front page, the issue ran the headlines Bat Child Found in Cave and Boy Captured by Explorers 2 miles underground. His giant eyes see in the dark, and his ears are better than radar. These captions were accompanied by a photograph of a half-human, half-bat creature snarling with its fangs exposed next to the quote, "For the last time, I said no autographs." When he was 10 years old, Bat Boy was supposedly discovered in Hellhole Cave in Pendleton County, West Virginia. The human-bat hybrid was said to be the offspring of a human woman named Susan Boy and spent his early life underground, secluded from the world. The scientists who reportedly discovered the creature took it upon themselves to introduce him to the world. Weekly World News had exclusive updates on Bat Boy as he grew up and traveled the world. Over the years, he reportedly got up to some wacky stuff, like biting Santa Claus, joining the army, having a secret relationship with Jennifer Lopez, running for governor of California, and so much more. In 1997, Bat Boy became the subject of an off-Broadway horror rock musical, Bat Boy the Musical, written by Keith Farley and Brian Fleming, with music and lyrics by Lawrence O'Keefe. At least 2 years went on, Weekly World News slowly stopped running articles on the crazy creature, and he faded into obscurity, leaving many to wonder what has happened to him. Maybe one day there will be a new update or a sighting of the international celebrity Bat Boy. I mean, that poor kid. If that was a real thing, and it might be, we can look it up. You can go look it up. If that was a real person that they were just following around, it was probably just some poor kid with a problem, and he just couldn't handle light, and just looked different. And like he probably ended up in a freak show, or probably would have ended up in a freak show. And I always kind of feel bad for people like that, like the ones that are just truly misunderstood. But that I don't think that was real, and if it was, they found a kid living 2 miles below the surface, which is crazy. And that poor woman who was going down there every day to feed her kid, like, it just makes you feel bad. The next cryptid is particularly hairy and gained popularity because of the local legend Luthan Musik. Sheep squatch is reported to be about the size of a bear with long, white, wool-like fur, saber-like teeth, a long snout, and horns. It is a quadruped whose forelimbs are described as ending in paw-like hands, like a raccoon, but it has long and hairless tail like an opossum. It is reported to be carnivorous and dangerous. Folklorist Luth Ann Mussick first documented sheep squatch in her 1965 book, The Telltale Lilac Bush and Other West Virginia Ghost Tales, a collection of 100 folklore and ghost stories. According to that account, the sheep squatch was first spotted in Kanawha County, possibly in the eastern end of its range, near the low hills and ridges of the lower Kanawha River region. Yeah, I butchered that name. I'm very sorry. Since the release of the book, sheep squatch has been spotted many times. The cryptid made its rounds in West Virginia, with reports of the creature being spotted in Mason, Putnam, Kanawha, and especially Boone County in the 1990s. Sheep squatch was spotted twice in 1994. It was first spotted in the woods by a former Navy seaman who said the creature knelt to drink from the creek and then ran off into some brush. Then, two kids spotted it in Boone County and said it looked like a white bear, and when it stood up on its hind legs was over 6 feet tall. The children startled the beast, and it ran off through the woods, taking tree limbs in its path. In 1995, the creature was spotted by a couple driving through Boone County. Sitting in the ditch along the road, they stopped the car to get a better look when they saw the large white creature with horns. The creature turned around and they saw it had 4 eyes. Unlike previous accounts, the creature did not run away. Instead, it leapt out of the ditch and started to attack the car. The couple drove off and later noticed large scratches on the side of their car from the attack. In 1999, in Boone County, a couple of campers were in the forest at night around a bonfire when they heard an animal snorting and scuffling around the camp, like an aggravated bear, but they couldn't see anything in the darkness. Suddenly, Sheep Squatch lunged out of the darkness at the campers. The campers ran back into their house while Sheep Squatch chased after them. They watched as the white thing stopped at the edge of the forest and let out a terrible scream before turning around and heading back into the woods. When the campers returned to their campsite the next morning to collect their things, they found all their stuff torn up. One of the most recent sightings of the cryptid actually comes from 2015 in Folks Run, Virginia. Deep in the forest of Appalachia, 6 campers were spending the night when they spotted the beast around midnight. One of the campers saw the beast at the top of the nearby hill in a crouching position when it suddenly stood up and started running down the steep hill towards the campers. The campers alerted the others, but it wasn't too worried as the flowing river separated them. The campers were horrified when the creature got to the river and searched for a way to cross before it decided to wade through the water after them. The campers say the creature was 8 to 9 feet tall with a shoulder length of 4 to 5 feet. Coming out of the river soaking wet on its hind legs towards the camper, it suddenly stopped when there was a loud screech from the distance. Then the creature looked up, and his moonlit face looked scared, and it let out a whimper and then sprinted off into the woods. The campers immediately packed up, left, and told the locals about their encounter. I would be willing to say all of these people have seen an albino bear, is really what it seems like. It almost seems like it would be a grizzly, but I mean, brown bears are, in Virginia, and they walk on, their hind legs every now and then. And if they saw a white one, which is already rare, it would probably just throw everything off. But that, to me, seems more likely as to where Sheep Squatch was coming from. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. It's at least not a Bigfoot, but it's really close. Our last 2 cryptids, the Snarly Yow and the Snallygaster, both appeared in Appalachia around the same time. In the 1700s, when many German immigrants settled in the Potomac River Valley and in parts of Pennsylvania, both cryptids are most likely a part of Maryland folklore, especially in the western part of the state. Still, they have been known to make their rounds in West Virginia and are generally interesting to learn about. The Snarly Yow is described as being a phantom dog-like creature. It is usually reported as having jet black fur, large paws, glowing eyes, and a red snarling mouth. The cryptid is labeled as a phantom because of its ability to appear and disappear into thin air, change its size, and be able to survive being shot and run over. Don't worry, because this cryptid seems only to haunt old roadways in small towns and challenge travelers that try to cross its path, but it doesn't hurt them. The cryptid's name is from Germanic words that describe its whale and because of the way it shows its teeth. There are many folks legends around the world of ghostly black dogs and even mysterious black cats, especially in the British Isles. It is not unlikely that the Snarly Yow is derived from the same folklore as immigrants moved and settled around the world. Over the past few hundred years, there have been many reports of people in the tri-state area seeing a massive black dog with glowing eyes and a red snarling mouth along roadways, stopping travelers on horses and in cars. The Snarly Yow has mostly been spotted around the Blue Ridge Mountains and South Mountain in Maryland, but has been seen roaming the mountains near Harper's Ferry. The Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah Shenandoah River Valley in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, as well as in Hillsborough, Virginia. Although the Snarly Yow has never been reported as hurting anyone, there have been many reports of people who encountered the creature and tried their best to kill it and failed. Those who have tried to shoot the phantom dog have watched their bullets pass through its body without causing harm or drawing blood. Most reports of the Snarly Owl sightings happened during the Civil War from 1861 to 1865. West Virginia was still a part of Virginia until 1863. The Civil War was a not-so-civil war, with about 620,000 deaths in less than 5 years. There have been many reports of ghost sightings at Civil War battle sites, with people seeing men in Confederate and Union uniforms marching along the hills, seemingly made of vapor. There have been reports of phantom gunshots and screaming at night, although during the actual battles of the Civil War there weren't reports of dead soldiers haunting the battlefields. Instead, the Snarly Yow did. The Snarly Yow was often seen at the Civil War battle sites in Turner's Gap Battle of South Mountain, Maryland in September 1862. Several witnesses reported seeing the creature at Turner's Gap along Route 40. The reports claimed that the beast would stop whoever dared travel along the road. The Snarly Yow has seen so many times during the Civil War that There is a Civil War historical marker in Boonesboro, Maryland, with a side note about the cryptid that reads, "Beware the snarly owl." Legend has it the shadow of the black dog used to prowl the nights of South Mountain. One night, a huntsman, famous as a sure shot, encountered the beast. He aimed and fired his rifle. The shot went right through the animal with no effect. He fired again and again, each shot passing through the shadowy beast. Finally, overcome with dread, the huntsman fled. After the Civil War, reports of the creature dwindled until almost 200 years later. During the 1970s, there was a resurgence in reports of the snarly owl, especially amongst motorists who reported a large dog that would suddenly appear in front of their cars and then disappear after they hit it or drove through the dog. In 1976, a couple of Frederick County, Maryland reported hitting a large black dog with glowing eyes that vanished when they stopped to check on it. Another motorist near Boonesboro, Maryland, claimed to have run over the monster, only to see it standing and raging defiantly in his rearview mirror afterwards. Another report from the 1970s detailed that a person who became startled by the giant black dog began throwing rocks and sticks at it to scare it off, but instead they passed through its body. The dog then snarled, and the person before disappearing. Others have reported seeing the phantom beast walk through objects in its way. If you ever come across large black dogs with glowing eyes along the back road at night, it's possibly best to keep driving and not look. So, I would be willing to say that these people are seeing either very large black coyotes or very large black wolves. And I know there's not wolves in Virginia really anymore, but there used to be. And if there was even just one or two still around that, or a small enough pack to go unnoticed but established, especially into the 1970s, um, then that's very likely, I think, what these people were seeing. And it actually kind of makes sense because wolves love battlefields because there's just tons of fresh meat laying on the ground. So that would make sense that the people in the Civil War who aren't cleaning up these bodies would be seeing these wolves or dogs or coyotes that are just dragging them off. Dog's eye shine at night isn't red, so that's kind of interesting. But I mean, you just honestly never really know. It could just be, like this has just kind of gotten exaggerated over the years and things like that. You could probably, as long as the car wasn't going too fast, hitting that dog may or wolf may not have killed it. So then it would have gotten up, snarled, and then possibly just gone off somewhere else to die. So personally, that's what I think the snarly owl is just probably was wolves. The snallygaster, or as I like to call it, the snarly owl's ugly cousin, is also more of a Maryland cryptid. Still, this German creature has been reported to make its way across the border into West Virginia. Occasionally, the earliest accounts of the snallygaster terrorizing the German settlers refers to it as a Schnellergeist, which means quick spirit in German. The snallygaster is described as a half reptile, half bird, chimera-like creature. It reportedly has giant wings, a metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, and sometimes tentacles like an octopus. According to folklore, the cryptid would swoop in and pick up its victims before carrying them away to suck its blood. It was said that the beast didn't like stars with 7 points, and the stars were painted on barns to keep the beast away. And the stars are still painted on barns in the area to this day. There are claims that the legend of the beast was revived and told to freed slaves in the mid-1800s around the time of the Civil War to scare them out of leaving. In 1909, there was a resurgence in the story of the snallygaster when multiple newspaper reports were published in February and March 1909 detailing scary encounters between local residents and the beast with enormous wings, a long pointed bill, claws like steel hooks, and an eye in the center of its forehead. That made screeching sounds, like a locomotive whistling. The Middletown Valley Registers, a weekly newspaper, published multiple articles according to the terrifying creature and its whereabouts for a few months. On February 12, 1909, the Middleton Valley Register released its first front-page headline on the snallygaster, reporting that the flying cryptid had been spotted in New Jersey, West Virginia, and Ohio, with there even being footprints of the beast in the snow in New Jersey. The stories were published until March 1909, when it was revealed that the sightings were fake. All the reports of the snallygaster sightings started with a man named Thomas C. Harbaugh of Casstown, Ohio, when he wrote a letter to the Valley Register in early 1909. In his letter, he talked about a strange beast that flew over him, making terrible screeching noises, and mentioned that it was headed in their direction. He described the creature as having 2 huge wings, a large horny head, and 20-foot long tail. However, it was revealed that Harbaugh was born and raised in Middletown, Maryland, and was a friend of George C. Roderick, the publisher and editor of the Middletown Valley Registry. Harbaugh would write letters under various pseudonyms and under his own name to the Middletown Valley Register and some other local newspapers to help bring attention to the newspaper. Roderick Harbaugh, a journalist, Ralph S. Wolfe were all in cahoots to help boost newspaper sales. They had seen how well the story of the Jersey Devils' visit to New Jersey in January 1909 did, so in early February 1909, reports started coming in saying that people had seen the Snallygaster flying monster in Fredericks County. The Cumberland Evening Times reported their first sighting in the cryptid in Middleton, as they also decided to capitalize on the tale of the Snallygaster. This fake news strategy was so successful that it allegedly caught the attention of the 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt, and an avid hunter and naturalist. It is said that the president was ready to delay his hunting trip to Africa so that he could go hunt the beast until a learner that the newspaper was fake. Legend also states that the Smithsonian Institute offered a 100,000 reward for anyone who could capture the creature. There are a lot of wacky urban legends and conspiracy theories about Theodore Roosevelt, especially involving cryptids. There are many stories about Theodore Roosevelt hunting for Bigfoot and other cryptids. There are even stories that he shot Bigfoot. There are conspiracy theories that he was a huge support of conserving land and starting the National Park Service because he wanted to find cryptids. People believe that the government would say that they spent people to survey the land and create trails when they were searching for monsters in the national and state parks. It should be noted that these are strictly urban legends and should not be taken as truth or fact. They are a fun little stories and should not be used to spread misinformation, especially regarding National Park Services and Smithsonian Institutes. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. On a serious note, I'm glad they threw that in. This cryptid has been around for centuries and has gained more notoriety in recent years. In 2008, a book titled Snallygaster, The Lost Legend of Fredericks County was published by Patrick Boyton, detailing the lore of the cryptid and the creature's foe. The DeWeo, then in 2021, the Museum of the Cryptid, called the American Snallygaster Museum, was opened in Liberton, Maryland, and self-proclaimed cryptozoologist Sarah Cooper. Okay. All right, so I don't believe a weird half bird, half lizard. I'm sorry, I gotta get through this. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do it. The president and cryptids. Okay, I don't believe that the Snallygaster is a half bird, half lizard thing. Obviously, do I believe that it could have been like a large bird? Yeah, I think large birds were around much longer than we thought they were, and I think there might still be some of them to this day, and they're actually misidentified. But for sure, back when, prior to all of our camera capture technology, I do believe that these things were way more common. And that's what I think the Snallygaster could have been. But also the fact that this has been used to actually, and if this was a real thing, that's what I think it is. But the fact that this has been used to scare slaves, to prop up, a newspaper, basically just to bring in tourism to an area, kind of does diminish it a little bit in the realness factor, but if it is, the real animal could have been this bird that these people were seeing. All that being said, guys, please let me know in the comments down below, did you guys know Theodore Roosevelt was obsessed with cryptids? Okay, I'm done. Did you guys know any of this about the Snallygaster or any of the other cryptids that I went down this list? Are you guys from Virginia and have you seen any of these cryptids? And if so, what are your stories? I would love to hear them in the comment section down below. But while you're down there, guys, I would also like for you guys to ask, if you would please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from me, and I will see you guys next Saturday for Cryptid Saturday.